So it's finding opportunity, but also pairing it with something that you're passionate about. I think timing is really important. When you feel like you have an idea that you are losing sleep over, you're waking up early, just thinking about it and getting excited about, then you know.
I'm Melanie Barr. Welcome back to the She Built It podcast, your go-to place to empower you to live the life and business that you crave. I'm here to talk about everything from having the courage to make life and career leaps to the details of how to lead effectively, create successful teams, implement strategies for growth, and infuse tech innovation. I'm here to celebrate your wins and navigate through your challenges. I live in the city now, but I grew up in a town of 1,000 people. I've navigated major life leaps, a senior level corporate career, worked in professional sports, and now as a successful entrepreneur who loves business, technology, family, and making meaningful connections with you and the She Built It community. I also love a good workout and dose of self-care. Magic happens when we focus on the part of ourselves and our business that brings us joy. So turn up the audio, open your favorite notes app, grab your favorite drink, and here we go. Welcome back to the She Built It podcast. Thank you for joining us, Brittany. What inspired you to launch your company, Beautini?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be speaking with you today. And yeah, my first company I started right out of college. I actually wrote in my second grade journal I wanted to have a beauty company. And so upon graduation, I ended up turning down my corporate job offer to start my first beauty company.
Nice. And can you tell us about Beautini?
So Beautini is hair and makeup services that specialize in weddings and events, and we're based in New York City.
How does Beautini's approach to beauty help women feel confident and powerful?
I always thought when I was writing my second grade journal, the idea was I wanted to create products that could empower women to feel comfortable and confident in their own skin. And when I was graduating, I wasn't sure where the white space was from a product perspective. And I also knew how expensive it would be to start a product business after failing at doing so by starting a brand in high school. So I wanted to go into services. And so the idea was, if I want to empower women, there's such a beautiful, intimate moment of actually providing these services on real women and understand their pain points. And so we focused on special moments, ideally weddings and events and special occasions where people really care about the hair and makeup, but also the overall experience. And that is why I started Beautini.
We all feel really confident when we walk into a room, when we feel like we have really great hair and makeup.
Agreed. I think that there's a lot to be said on like the inner to outer beauty, but also outer to inner. Maybe it takes a little bit of lipstick or curling your hair. Whatever it takes you to get to that place of confidence and feeling your best self is 100% worth investing in yourself to feel that. Because when you are feeling confident, whether it's showing up feeling great for a meeting or an event or an interview, that level of confidence is going to seep into every other area of your life as well.
And you mentioned meetings. I have a friend who used to say, I have on my meeting makeup.
I love that.
Enter the room just feeling so much more confident.
Add that lipstick, wear that power suit, and you're ready to dominate.
After scaling Beautini, you decided to launch a second company. Tell us about it and what impact is it having on women's confidence?
So like I said, product was always in the back of my mind. That has always been like the end goal. But I loved working with women for Beautini and loved the experience that we were able to create for our clients. But fast forward to 2020, there were no weddings, there were no events, which honestly served as this great period of time that I was able to think about my next business, which is called Beia. And so I spent that year really interviewing a lot of our Beautini clients and talking them through their beauty concerns, their beauty routines, and try to tackle where their pain points might be to ultimately create Beia. And what we found was even before the pandemic, women would come in for their hair and makeup trial before their big event. And they would, of course, ask what color lipstick we're using or how we're curling their hair. But more importantly, listen, I sweat really easily. My wedding's in August. Is this going to last all night long? I'm like, yes, of course. Or when they sweat, they tend to smell. What can we do? Or they have a low-cut gown and they have these blemishes that they can't go away. And they were asking us for solutions. And so technically all these questions were beauty concerns, but it's not like you would be going into Sephora and being able to quickly find a solution, because they were asking it in a level of embarrassment or almost this level of insecurity of, these very much impact their confidence and are important to them, but there weren't these like straight out solutions that they can go and get. And that's where the idea of Beia was born, because I too would leave the office, rush to an event, and I might smell a little stinky. And at those times, instead of being in those moments and being present during that conversation, I'd be so in my head, wondering if that person could smell me, not getting too close. And like we said, with feeling confident, you just feel icky, and therefore you're not going to let your true self shine. And so that's where the idea of Beia was to create these premium body care solutions that address those intimate concerns when you are in a pinch for the on-the-go confidence.
And it's so interesting about the things that came out of COVID. Part of your business stopped, but you were able to take that time to create your new business. And it's really smart that you are fixing a problem.
Yeah, I did have that time, and I realized I could either just dwell and be sad, and there was nothing I could do. Weddings could not occur. There was no group occasions happening. And so I realized either I can just dwell on that or I could do something proactive. And then fast forward to 2021, weddings were back bigger than ever. And I had this budding company. And I think that it's been a challenging few years of balancing both, but it was so worth having that pocket of time to set the foundation for Beia.
Yeah. And it's really smart of you that you made that pivot during that time.
Yes.
As a founder of 2 beauty brands, what advice would you give entrepreneurs looking to build multiple successful ventures?
So whether it's one business, I'd say doing more than one. I got the advice, like, don't do it. It is incredibly hard. It does allow me to self-fund both businesses, which I'm extremely grateful for. But anyone who's looking to start a business or a venture, is spend your days and with people being overly alert on your everyday routines, and see where your pain points might be from an everyday perspective. Talk to people specifically to the industry that you want to build a business in, and just listen, because the more that you ask questions and listen to people, the more you're going to see that there's a ton of opportunities to act upon. So it's finding opportunity, but also pairing it with something that you're passionate about. I think timing is really important. When you feel like you have an idea that you are losing sleep over, you're waking up early just thinking about it and getting excited about, then you know. But if you're trying to start a business tomorrow, you don't know what the idea is, you don't really know what you're passionate about, but you need it to happen tomorrow, that is an oversight, because you can start a business whenever you want, but you can happen anytime. But I think it has to be the right time for you and have the idea in your head versus trying to fit in the box based on a timeline that you want.
And clearly you're passionate about this. Going back to your, I think you said 2nd grade journal.
Yes.
So amazing that you knew what you wanted to do at such an early age.
A lot of people say that. I do say it's a blessing and a curse, because ever since 2nd grade, I wrote it in my 2nd grade journal that I was going to have a beauty company, and blinders were on. So even in middle school, high school, I started a mascara line to start figuring out what even looks like to start a business. And so I'm very fortunate because I've been able to lean into that for a very long time. If you don't know what you like, there's a lot of beauty in like exploring, because a lot of times our paths are not linear and we can both get to that same end goal, but maybe you were more open to taking opportunities that I wasn't, and we could both end up at the same place. Whether you have the idea at 2nd grade or not, I think it's equally as valuable.
Thinking back to 2nd grade, I was owning an art gallery and a nail salon. So I'm not sure what that means.
Wow. I love that.
I don't own either one of them, but yeah, that's what I did. I'd hang my art all over and try to sell it. And then I always was trying to do everyone's nails. So funny.
I love that. It's so funny. I think I wanted to be a ballerina and then a teacher and then the beauty business.
Yeah. She Built It is along the lines with the multiple businesses that I was thinking about at a young age.
I love that.
What were some of the challenges you faced expanding from Beautini to your 2nd business, and how did you navigate them as a business leader?
Fast forward to 2021. Now I'm navigating all these postponed weddings that I've already accounted for in my revenue of 2020. Plus, you need to bring a certain amount of business forward to be able to keep the business going. And there were so many challenges between testing and making sure we're providing services in a safe environment, being flexible with our clients who had to keep rescheduling their special days. And so on that one side, it was emotionally exhausting to be there for our clients when you don't have the solutions. And I also didn't know what my path forward even looked like, but we had to keep going. And then on the other side, I had this completely different business model. Going into consumer product is a very different strategy than opening up a service business. So it took both sides of my brain. It took a lot of emotions and trying to figure out how can I make these both work with 24 hours in a day with a very limited lean team at the time was really challenging.
Because service-based businesses and then product are different. So how did you approach growing your teams and selling your products in that way?
I started ideating for the idea of Beia in 2020. We seeded the market with a product in June of 2021, but we officially launched in July 2022. So there was time for us to play around with it where sales were not the top priority. It was more about figuring out the brand. How are we creating a solution for a problem that women experience and making sure that we're doing it the right way? Whereas Beautini was very much sales focused. So they both had different priorities coinciding. So it allowed me to overall know we need sales in order to make both of these business work. So I can double down on focusing on my clients for Beautini and making sure the team's there. And I honestly had myself and a incredible now employee, Stephanie, who was helping me as an intern, figuring out the next steps for Beia. And then I ultimately had hired someone to do a little bit of everything for that business. But I knew that was not going to make a ton of money right out of the gate. So I had to stabilize the service-based business first and get it really out of the pandemic aftermath before I could double down on Beia.
Managing and growing a team, handling press and running two companies like you were just explaining is a lot. How do you stay grounded and balancing it as a business leader?
So I firmly believe in my morning workouts that help me get grounded. They're hard so that I can't just think about work. If I am losing sleep over a problem or how to go about a certain situation, it helps me give time to get clarity and get grounded. And I think it's really important for me specifically to have a healthy workout, both mentally and physically. So that's a big piece. Also, who I spend my time with. So making sure I have enough family time. I have time with my fiance and my best friends. That inner circle, you don't have to put energy into pretending to be someone. They know who you are. And I think that serves as a really great reminder to keep me grounded when I'm feeling a little out of sorts. And ultimately, that's an extension of like how I am prioritizing my time, because there's only so many hours in the day, and who you spend that time with, how you spend that time is a big reflection on what your next few months are going to look like, whether it's in your business or in your life. So I'm a big believer of being very cautious on how you dedicate your time and who it's with, because they're going to have influence on you, whether it's consciously or subconsciously.
So true. And that's a great reminder. Thank you for sharing that with us about obviously routines are important, but also who we spend our time with.
Yeah. And it's hard. Sometimes like I'm in this place where I'm in New York City, I'm in my early 30s, and I have some friends moving out of the city, and I have this urge to make new friends, but I also have these networking events and I have to work on the business. And so I've gotten to a place where the need to make new friends, isn't necessarily there, because I think organically through these founder events or being with my friends, we'll naturally build a bigger network. And I had to be okay with less is more. Like I'd rather have the best friend in the world versus trying to keep up and go to all these social events just to make an extra friend or two. And so I've made new friends at my workout studios, at founder events, or what it might be. But I think that shift has allowed me to be able to balance both businesses and really give my relationships the amount of attention it deserves without trying to be everywhere and pleasing other people as well.
Yeah, and that was so important.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us today and sharing all of your business and beauty knowledge. Please tell us how and where we can find you.
Absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram. It's Brittany, BRITTANY.LO, or you can find Beautini at BEAUTINI, or Beia Beauty at BEIA.beauty. And you can also find us on TikTok with those same handles.
Thank you for joining us today. I'd love to hear from you. Reach out to me at hello@shebuiltit.com, on our She Built It website, or at She Built It on social. Thank you to my editor, Rich Streffolino, who always makes us sound good. Until next time, let nothing stop you from experiencing the life and business that you crave.